Hello everybody, my name's Baleigh. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new to this channel, please consider subscribing. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for continuing to watch my videos, and welcome to 2020. I'm a little mad that it's taking me this long to get a video out to you guys in the year of 2020. I mean, it's March, for Christ's sake. School has been a non-stop rolling ball. I wish I had more breaks and I wish I was done with school, but I'm not, so no dwelling on it. Regardless, for the first video I wanted to put out for the year 2020, I figured I wanted it to be something kind of big, but still not crazy, because it's still, you know, my first channel and it's only really been a few months since I've started this. I was watching a live stream with Wolfshot Publishing, and I stumbled upon a new subscriber, and he had this video on the AuthorTube Newbie Tag, and I've seen this all across the AuthorTube platform. And it dawned upon me that, like, I didn't have this video, and I kind of wanted to make it for a while now, but I hadn't really thought about adding it recently, and I figured what's a better video to start with for the new year. And so yeah, today we're doing the AuthorTube Newbie Tag. I think I found out about AuthorTube through Kate Kavanaugh. I was looking around for essay inspiration and tips for an essay I was writing for school, and I stumbled upon, I think, one of Kate Kavanaugh's videos, and it led me down into Brooke Passmore and Natalia Lee, and eventually that just spiraled into a bunch of you know, the YouTube rabbit hole. I ended up going in through like a lot of the AuthorTube, and I started binging their videos, but I really feel like if it hadn't been for that moment, I probably wouldn't be on AuthorTube, and I probably wouldn't even be really considering being an author as a career choice. It gave me a lot of confidence watching them and their personalities really shine through their videos, and I figured if they could do it, why can't I? If you want to look into them and see who I'm talking about, if you don't know already, I will link their channels in the description, and they will pop up right about here. The first book I ever wrote was in poetry, and published that. The book I'm writing now is kind of general fiction, or at least that's what I'm labeling it as, because it's got so many different types of genres and themes in it that I couldn't label it down to one, so I called it general fiction. I like to read a lot of genres. I'm not really sure what I like to write in, so typically when I get involved in something, it's all across the board, different kinds of stuff. I'm not really labeled down to one thing. Like, I'm sure that's how my writing career will go as well. I don't really think I should be tied down to one genre. I don't want to be. I want to try a whole bunch of different things. You only get better the more you try. But currently I write in poetry, and I'm writing in general fiction / sci-fi dystopian. I really hope that the next book I write is something in the romance genre. I've been fiddling around with this idea, and I think that's going to be the next concept I try and work on in the genre I work in. But with me being so new to this, I don't say there's like one particular genre that I write in, and I don't think there ever really will be, unless it's just book after book kind of thing. I don't really have a preferred tense so much as I default in past tense, and I'm not really surprised by that. I default in past tense. I struggle to write, but I am trying to write in present tense, and I despise future tense. I think I typically write in first person and third person omniscient, but everything typical is just really at the start baseline, so it's not really typically anything. I did try writing in adult once. I liked it. I want to try it again. I won't be doing it for a minute now, but I'm going to probably say that empathy is going to be in YA. I like YA. I like to read it. I love it. I'll probably be writing mostly in YA, as most authors and AuthorTubers on here do. I don't really know much about new adult. It's a very new concept to me, but hopefully I can get into that. We shall see. I don't know. But I do have a plan to work with my cover designer on a children's book at some point. I thought it'd be really fun. I wrote one back in high school for a project I was doing for Teacher Cadet, and I hope to be able to get her to edit those pictures a lot, like make them her own style, and then I'll write the story and we can publish it, and it'll be really fun. I know that everyone says that they're either a plotter, a planner, or a pantser, or a plotter, a pantser, and a planter, and I think that really depends on the person. For me, I think it depends on the time of the year that I'm writing in, the project that I'm working on, and just how I'm feeling overall. That really depicts on whether or not I'm one or the other. So I would say I'm a planter across the board, but I vary back and forth between a pantser and a plotter depending on, you know, the certain circumstances of what I'm doing. I am technically an author and technically self-published, but the first book that I produced, I self-published through lulu.com, and it was fine. I liked it after many errors into getting, actually, I have a copy. Looked like crap. It's crappy to say the least. It was a small 8x5 poetry book, and I loved the contents to an extent, hated the covers, no matter how many times I redid it, and I just loved the feeling when I put it out and people bought it, and there was only 2 people that bought it. With that time, I really sat there and considered what I had put out into the world, and I wasn't happy with my product. It wasn't lulu.com or their, you know, direct distributing, but so much as my content in my work. And so I retracted it. I currently am working on it, like slowly, bit by bit, but I don't expect to be done with it for a couple more years. I hope to republish it as an anthology in a completely new book altogether, pretty much. I'm in this weird gray zone of like yet to be published and self-published. So yes and no. I don't know. The first publishing company I used was the direct distributor, lulu.com. I put my work up there and they would distribute it per person that bought it, so it would just send to them automatically. It cut out me as a middleman. I like that and I don't, but that's besides the point. So I use them. If I had to pick a traditional publisher to publish my books, it might be someone like Penguin House, maybe, or Penguin Publishing. But I think ideally over a set of time, if I had the resources and the time to get my stuff together, I would ideally create an LLC and self-publishing house so that I could publish my own books, not have to rely on anybody really, and to really give people a better pricing option. I'm big on helping people, and I think it would be a great opportunity for me to be able to help those who either don't know how to self-publish or just don't want to do it themselves, but it would give them another opportunity to become a published author. Regardless if you're traditionally published, indie published, or self-published, it doesn't matter, you're still an author. And that's really what's important at the end of the day. I would create my own self-publishing house and run solely. I think it'd be a great idea. I'd be able to build a team and have my own office instead of running like I am now out of my lovely bedroom in my condo. So yeah, that would be the ideal dream goal. Essentially, the ideal goal is to produce more content so that I can become monetized, but also personally, as like an internal goal, is to really push myself and become more confident in making these videos. And I certainly lack a bit of confidence, but I think with every video I make, it's a lot more evident, especially to you guys, that I'm getting more confident either in my life or on video. Regardless, I want both. So that's the overall goal. The content you can expect and I hopefully plan to make is basically anything that has to do with my hobbies, yes, but also writing vlogs, travel vlogs, hopefully a few Disney adventures in the future. I don't feel qualified to make, educational videos unless it's something that I've really research thoroughly, but it's not, I have no authority in that aspect. I am studying for a bachelor's degree, so I hope with every little thing I can add a little bit of psychology to help you guys out and really understand yourselves and others. I think that's mostly the idea, is that I'm going to be taking my psych degree and adding some writing content with it to combine them to make my channel. Really, that's the idea, with a couple of like videos about my hobbies and myself. I started writing, I don't know, I think I've always wrote. I don't think I've ever really stopped writing. I had this black and white, like those black and white composition books that like everybody was made to have in like elementary school. And from elementary school to middle school, I had that same notebook, or those same couple notebooks, and I just wrote paragraph after paragraph in there, and it ended up being two things. One, an inspiration for empathy. Since like the 4th grade, I've been reworking that same concept, but in like completely different genres and different styles. The other thing was like this really crappy romance that's not the video, or not the novel I referenced before, that I want to work on at all. It's pretty much been scrapped, but I still have it somewhere, just not the black and white notebook, which kind of makes me sad to think about now, but it's fine. But yeah, I think I've always started writing. I just did different kinds of things, and I loved when I always had an English class and we had a project. I had an opportunity to let myself shine. I was obsessed with projects when I was a kid, so by the time I figured I wanted to write empathy, I was probably in high school, and I took those paragraphs from my black and white notebook and I kept developing. It ended up being like 14 chapters long by the time I was done with it, and I pretty much scrapped majority of that when I decided empathy was going to become, you know, empathy. And that took me up until pretty recently, when I decided I was going to, you know, compete in NaNoWriMo, make my AuthorTube channel. It all kind of happened at the same time. I've really never stopped writing, and I don't plan to anytime soon. I think reading-wise, the authors who really got me hooked the most as a kid, and the ones that inspired me most to become a writer, were Lois Duncan and Margaret Peterson Haddix. Haddix wrote this fantastic book when I was younger. It was called The Palace of Mirrors, and I was thoroughly obsessed with it. I think I've read it every few months over and over again, and I've probably read it about 100 times. That's probably not an exaggeration either. I've worn that thing down, this book down, to shreds really, and I feel so sad about it, but I have no heart to get rid of it whatsoever. It looks awful, but it's such a good story. I love it. I want to read it again now that I'm talking about it. But the way Haddix could really capture a reader and drag you into the story and make you feel everything that the main character was going through really just put me over the edge as a reader, and I was like, damn, I want to do that. Oh shit, I wasn't supposed to do that. But it made me really feel like God, I really want to do that, and I want to have that kind of impact on somebody else someday. And which I thought was really profound for my age. It was probably like 8 or 9 that I felt like that. And that's probably what sparked me writing in the black and white notebook, but I don't really know. And then on the other end was Lois Duncan, and Lois Duncan had the same idea of like pulling you in and making you feel everything, but it was like a step further, because she wrote in this like thriller era that was written for young adults. And we read them in middle school. Well, we read one in middle school. It was the, Lost in Time or something, or Locked in Time. And we read it in class, and I fell in love with it, so I read more and more of her books. And I just, besides getting really sucked into the story and feeling everything the character felt, you literally, when you read it, got goosebumps all over your body, because it was just like goosebumps and heart palpitations. It dragged you into the story, but it also made you feel every thrilling aspect of living it. And it had such powerful imagery, and her books always had such powerful imagery that I wanted that too. But in the writing aspect, I think that the ones that I learned the most technicality from were people like Suzanne Collins of The Hunger Games, Stephanie Meyer from Twilight and the Host, and who else? And probably like Veronica Roth and Cami Garcia. They have such technicality in the way with their world building and writing styles that I really just, it makes me giddy, and it really drags me in as a person to become, it really drags me in as a writer to really hone my craft. I have a layout for my life that's typically like, I have general sense days. I have a general sense of my day per week, and it will depend on whether I'm in school or whether I'm have the day off from school and I'm working. And so when I'm not in school, I'm typically doing AuthorTube and author platform type stuff or writing. And so I have designated days, or I have those times that I really do stick to as much as I can when it's, you know, accessible to me. Wow, I can't breathe. I really try to stick to those days when I can. There are times where I'm like sitting in my like black and white notebooks. I wish it was like the regular kind, but laundry's done. I have these black and white notebooks that I typically write in for like brain dumping. And what happens is if like class gets and what happens is like class I hope that sounded good on camera. And ow, my earring, everything's going wrong. If class gets really boring, I will just brain dump a story idea or a chapter or a sentence into that notebook, and that's typically where the inspiration strikes sometimes. Or if I am kind of just running around and I have something, I'll write when it's like the creativity hits me, and so I'll pretty much stop what I'm doing and do that. But I typically stay to writing sessions. Otherwise, I just kind of, I do a little bit of both, really. That's just like the debate of whether I'm a planter or not. I wish I had a typewriter. I write plotting and inspiration by hand, and then I will write long drafts or long paragraphs in my computer, and I will switch between back and forth depending on what I need. If you can't tell, I'm really a back and forth person depending on how I need to operate for that day and time. It really just depends on what I'm doing at the time. I think the thing that I'm most excited about with AuthorTube is the ability to, one, get to know other AuthorTubers, hopefully personally, if not just like kind of in general. That would be kind of cool. Two, to start reading other AuthorTubers' books. That would be cool. Three, to make a lot of good content for myself and for you guys that are subscribers. Oh, I can't speak today. To make really good content for myself and my subscribers, you guys. I don't know, I just like, it's such a, AuthorTube is such a wholesome community that it's so hard not to feel the love in this community, at least with the people that are genuinely in it and active in it. There's always haters and stuff like that, but I really feel like being a part of AuthorTube, even at this small 25 subscriber count, which I love thoroughly, thank you guys so much for subscribing, but it's nice with this such small number compared to like bigger AuthorTubers like, you know, Brooke and Natalia, and you know, Kate and Jesse, the reader, all of these booktuber AuthorTubers combos, they really have large numbers. But even to feel this 25 subscriber count for me is so impactful. I get so excited every time I have a new subscriber. It doesn't matter how low that number is. Because regardless if I type a comment in Brooke's videos or Natalie, God, I say it again to Natalie. Regardless if I post a comment in another AuthorTuber's video, you really feel the love and the impact that being a part of this community is about. And it's just, it's great for the people that, one, need the writing resources, two, really can have virtual mentors and watch people that are living or have lived through these experiences and to show you what you can do well, what you can't do well, that kind of stuff like that. But it's just, it's a great platform, and I couldn't imagine not being a part of it now, even at my, again, small number. But it's that small number that makes me feel really active in this community regardless. I'm gonna cry. Just kidding. But yeah, enough of that gush. That's it. There were only 13. So those are the 13 AuthorTube Newbie Tag questions. If you guys like this, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're not a subscriber already, subscribe and hit the bell icon. Please let me know in the comments down below if you are an AuthorTuber or you are a YouTuber and you have a tag like this and you want to do it or have done it. You can link it down below so that the rest of us in this community can get a look at your videos. AuthorTube is really big about, you know, channel connections and really getting to know the many AuthorTubers out there that aren't having big numbers so that we can share experiences, and we need more AuthorTubers in here. So please, if you are an AuthorTuber and you're watching this video, leave a comment, add us to your channel, and I'll see you soon. Bye.